Well, hello there. A nice day here. Hope you're having a good day. Pardon me. And I'm bringing you a knife review of a knife that I did an unboxing on a while ago. And what are we actually looking at today? Hold on, I'm cleaning it up. You don't care. You just want to see what it is. It's the Evo. Not the Evo. Good God, I'm already screwing up. This is the CKF Snafu 4.0. This particular one is, as you can see, in DLC and Damascus, or Zircutai, I should say. Zircutai. In fact, you can see it's got such concentrated. You can see clumps of it right in the 8 centers of the. It's like right at the center of where the zirconium's most concentrated. You can see specks of almost pure stuff in this particular one, which is pretty crazy. This is a Recenti collab. They've done several. This one is the medium. I mistakenly got the medium when I wanted the large, but it is what it is. In fact, the first one I got was kind of a little bit screwy. It was a plain version, and it was off center. It was ground a little bit weird. It wasn't great or perfect, which, let's be honest, this is an expensive. Yes, it's integral, but it's an expensive knife. And it wasn't quite living up to the expectation there. So when I sent it back, I got the option to actually swap out for this. An alternate version, the DLC and Zircutai version, which, as you can see, I jumped on. It was still the medium, but I'm pretty okay with that. It is not by any means a small knife. And let's jump into specs before we start talking about this thing any further. Blade length to the handle is just a shy bit under 3.5 inches, just a hair. Overall, about 8 1/8, and the actual handle length is 4 5/8 ish. If that all means nothing to you, I will make some comparisons as always. In fact, one comparison knife was already sitting over there out. That is the full-size comparison, Civivi Conspirator. And a small knife comparison, the Civivi Elementum. And yeah, it's actually a bit longer than the Conspirator, despite having a slightly less blade, technically. The Conspirator, I think, sits pretty firmly at 3.5. This is just a hair under that, so it's got a little bit more handle than it does blade, and you can kind of see that right there, but it's very close in size. One thing it is not, however, is thick. This is a surprisingly thin knife, even with these inlays that are raised. I'd say maybe with the inlays, it's almost as thick as the Conspirator. Not quite, though. It's also no real taller. It's about the same height as the Conspirator, honestly. Maybe even a little tiny bit thinner. Oh, and the final comparison being 2 AA batteries for grip length. In your primary position, you have just shy of 2 AA batteries, but you have a choil and flipper tab that you can sort of get up on there, and I do feel comfortable and that I have enough space to get in there. So let's move on to other specs. Where is my... There you are. There we go. 4.49 ounces. For being a full integral, there's no milling in there. There is, however, from the DLC coating, a beautiful little color pattern in there. Love to see that. But For full titanium and like not super thin, this is not a heavy knife. This is pretty well balanced. You're not exactly a ratios ounce and inch, but you're doing well. You are. Hardware T8 for the... That's bigger than T8. T8 for the body screws. Let's see, what do we got here? T10 maybe? I'm thinking T10. Yes, it's T10 for the pivot, T8 for the body screws, and yes, it's tooled on both sides, but I believe I did adjust this thing, and I believe it is... I got it perfectly set, so I don't want to mess with it, but I believe it is captured, even though it doesn't look it. Or maybe it's not, who knows? CKF does have a history of not doing captured pivots, but weirdly enough, I've never had a ton of issue with theirs. Then again, I've never actually tried to mess with it after, like, Loctiting it, but, yeah. Oh, and there's a T6 on the lock bar insert. Oh, yes, these. Are you dying today? Are you fine today? What are we doing here? Oh, you're dead. Well, I'll be. I'm going to have to figure out how to put new batteries in you, aren't I? I would have thought it was this, but... Well, once I figure out to put new batteries, I may put a little blurb in here talking about the exact dimensions of this thing. Or not. It depends on how much they want to cooperate, which is not usually very much. So you may just have to not check out blade stock thickness and behind the edge. It is very thin. It's a hollow ground. It is extremely, extremely thin behind the edge. I would say it's probably... It does get a little thick quickly because of the hollow ground. Even the hollow ground doesn't have a whole lot of room to drop down, but it's probably... I don't know, 14 thousandths behind the edge, maybe a little bit less in certain areas. It's thin. It's thin, it cuts. It doesn't have a very tall bevel on it, but it definitely cuts. It's pretty sharp. It's just not a ton of bite, but you can definitely feel that it's sharp. Like if I pushed into something, it would definitely go through. And as I said, the overall knife is similar to this, which is 520 thousandths thick, so... I'm going to say this is probably about half an inch. Alright, that'll get specs out of the way, assuming, well, regardless of whether I'm going to insert a little bit after the fact. So what are we looking at? We're looking at titanium, zircotai, M398 blade steel. It's number 30, by the way. It is a flipper knife on bearings, with a fuller that can be used. These are the stop pins and not the thumb studs, and they don't really work great for the thumb studs, but you can use them, at least in the thumb flick. Can you... Yeah, you can kind of reverse lick off of them, but it's easier just to use the fuller. It is a frame lock. Get out of there, you dirty little bugger. It is a frame lock, integral knife, one solid piece of titanium. A little bit of milling, and a hidden lanyard post. I guess that's a hidden lanyard post. I don't know if I'd want to use that for a hidden lanyard post, but because it's awfully close to the tip of that blade, but you could. Popsicle stick. Stiff popsicle stick. I do think they could have thinned this out a little bit to make it a little less stiff, but it's got good retention, so not too bad. Peter Rosenti's logo there, CKF's logo right there, and as you can see, other than the little marking for the blade steel and the number, there's no branding on the blade because CKF doesn't do that, and that's one of the things I really like. Clean, sterile, very, very attractive. Got a clip point style blade here that, I don't know, something about this, maybe because it gets a little thicker right here, like the edge actually goes down a little, but it's got a very impressive look to it. little aggressive, a little nice. Just some angles that really work and measure out to being cool looking, in my opinion. As I said, it is also flat, hollow ground all the way up to the tip, though it does get a little bit thicker at the tip. As you can kind of see, the tip is definitely thicker. The plunge grind is great. It is way up here. You'll never have an issue with that. Not that you would even have an issue sharpening it, because the stop pins are, you know, external. The jimping is way too aggressive. Like, if you're in gloves, okay, but I do not want to be jamming my finger into that all day. You can sit your finger on it if you're sort of pulling along with it. It's kind of like shark skin. You pull along with it, it's not as bad, but you push into it, woo! No, 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 thank you. It's kind of unnecessarily aggressive, and it kind of makes it a little tricky to figure out how you actually want to hold this thing. I sort of prop my finger up on the back of it. I suppose if people with long thumbs could get up there, or you just choke up and you go in front of it. I don't think this really adds anything that couldn't be achieved with just some less horrifyingly aggressive jimping, but that is like the one downside of this knife, really. The flipper tab. Decent, not perfect leverage, but it's big, it's chunky, it's not hard to get to, so no problem there. The action is extraordinarily smooth. No. The action, it carries beautifully. It's basically, though there is a detent ramp which stops right there, which is a little bit late, which is a little unfortunate. But as you can see, it's basically a guillotine down. You basically have to go all the way down here and kick it up there to get off over the detent ramp. The detent ramp is late. That is a problem. That is one of the things I think, like, this is a knife that is, you have to either flip it over, flock it. I don't know what the heck that is. I mean, I know what flocking is, but okay. Where was I? You have to either force it over the detent, or you have to go real low and sort of just let it go past out on its own, and then it drops shut super, super nicely. However, I will say that because of the DLC on this blade, you can sort of hear it. Hopefully that's coming across. The DLC, of course, creates a little bit of friction, so it's pretty... You can feel it, but it's super consistent. It's super consistent and smooth. It's just you can feel it, which is interesting. It's kind of both smooth and not at the same time. That's the DLC. The other one the regular one did not have that issue. And it's not really an issue because, as you can see, the action is still absurd. And as time goes on, this will wear a better path into the DLC. Even the DLC will succumb, and we'll end up with a dang near guillotine. The action is good. Lock bar insert. Small lock bar insert, actually. Pretty small. I mean, it goes out all the way up here, but it's only like really like that long. That's pretty small. Pivot collar, more Zircuti, though interestingly enough, the pivot collar has more of the oranges in it, so that might just be Timascus. Because it looks a lot different than the actual... That's odd. Interesting. Not really hurting anything, but it is odd. And again, look at the Timascus, Zircuti. It's attractive. I will say that the chunks, while they are interesting, I still kind of wish they weren't there. I wish it was still just mirror polish kind of thing. But they are there in the thickest parts of the zirconium. You can sort of see it coming through. And, of course, the inlays are just wonderfully done. I'm assuming they're glued in. I can't imagine they could be... No, yeah, they're glued in. And ergos are great. Absolutely wonderful. No doubt about that. So, that pretty much does it for this one. It's a great knife. It's got no real major issues. It does have the... In fact, I think, yeah, all of Recenti's designs have this detent ramp. And I don't really think it's needed or a good idea to have it there, because none of them, like, drop past it easily enough. That I guess, is the biggest failing here. And it's, again, not a failing. Just interesting design choices. Maybe it's because the customs have that as well, and they just want to stick true to it, but I think you could get rid of the detent ramp and just have this thing get over the detent right there and drop from there and be just as happy. As I just flicked that right into my finger and hopefully didn't cut myself. I'm laughing because I'm stupid. Okay. Meow. Really? Well, that's new. He walks in the room and says meow. Okay. Your dog, you know that, right? Okay. I don't know what he's doing now, but I'm going to go see. So I'm going to end things here and say, oh, gotta mention it. The access to the lock bar is not great. You do have to come a little bit from diagonal or from dead on. They definitely could cut that back, but I get it. The aesthetic works, so it's sort of true to the original, and it sort of just keeps that clean flow. Hopefully you were able to see this knife enough, despite it being black on a black background, which I'm thinking about changing. I'm just not sure what to do to what yet. Maybe something wood or something like that. I have wood underneath there, but it's just kind of a cheap wood desk, so I wouldn't want to use that. I'm undecided. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Consider liking and subscribing. This is a cool knife. Most CKF stuff has elements that are interesting and cool enough that has warranted a good portion of them being made, even though they are too expensive. let's be honest. They do go through extra steps, and that has to be considered, though. So I'm not sure how much extra that would cost. So I can't judge them. All I can say is I like their designs. I like their knives. I've gotten a few. So, now I will actually end things, like I've said probably like 4 times now. And say, see you later.